is a new day to learn something new. Hello everyone, I'm Damaris Castaneda and welcome to Find Out with Jem. Hello again everyone, welcome to my program. Firstly, I send a warm hug to those who accompany us through social networks and different digital media. It is a pleasure for me to be with you again. Today, we are going to talk about linguistics and ancient grammarians. But first of all, do you know what linguistics is? Have you heard about this? Do you want to know about linguistics as me? Of course, I know that you want to know. That is why we are going to discover some opinions in order to know what linguistics is. I have contacted some linguistics who are specialists in this area. I have Yesenia Represa, Maria Aguirre, and Heidi Martinez.
Hello, it's a pleasure for me to share my knowledge through this interview.
Hello! Hello everybody, it's a pleasure for me to be here.
Now that we know them, we will watch the opinions that they have about linguistics. So, let's look at this. Hello Miss Yesenia, I hope you are good. In this opportunity, I would like to know what is the main idea that you have about linguistics.
Well, when I heard the word linguistics, a lot of words related to language, communication, and so on come to my mind because linguistics studies the phenomena of language, its origin, as well as its change over time, its structure, and its functioning. It is important to mention that the aim of linguistics is to better understand both living and dead language. In other words, those that no one speaks anymore, but which explain the way modern language have emerged. And also linguistics studies language at different levels, for example, phonetic, phonological, morphological, syntactic, lexical, and semantic. It also analyzes it from its realization in speech through the disciplines of pragmatics and textual linguistics. And in simple words, what I mentioned above is the main idea that I have about linguistics.
Hello Maria, I hope you are good. Would you mind telling me what is linguistics for you?
Well, linguistics for me is the scientific study of human language. It is called a scientific study because it entails a comprehensive, systematic, objective, and precise analysis of all aspects of language, cognitive, social, environmental, biological, as well as structural. Linguistics is considered to be an applied science as well as an academic field of general study within the humanities and social science. Traditional areas of linguistic analysis correspond to syntax, which are the rules governing the structure of sentences, semantics, the meaning, morphology, structure of word, phonetics, speech, sounds, and equivalent gesture in sign language, phonology, the abstract sound system of a particular language, and pragmatics, and how social context contributes to meaning. It has some subdisciplines such as biolinguistic, which is the study of the biological variables and evolution of language. And finally, we have psycholinguistic, which is the study of psychological factors in human language. And well, that is all I can say about linguistics.
Hello Heidi, I hope you are good. I was wondering what comes to your mind when you hear linguistics.
Well, I could say in simple words that linguistics is the scientific study of the language And let me tell you that experts on linguistics have a primary goal. You would ask, which is that primary goal? Okay. The most important goal that linguistics have is to understand the nature of the language in general by asking a set of questions like the following I have. The first one, what distinguishes human language from all animal communication systems? The other question, what features are common to all human languages? And the other question, how are the modes of linguistic communication related to each other? Well, linguistics as a discipline focuses on increasing our knowledge. Moreover, it focuses on give us a better understanding of the world.
So, analyzing the answers that our linguistics gave us, we can say that linguistics it is the science that studies the phenomenon of language as well as its origins, its changes over time, its structure and functionality. Also the study of human speech including the units, nature, structure and development of languages or a language. Its purpose is to better understand both living and dead languages. Now that we know what linguistics is, we are going to ask to our linguistics if they know something about ancient grammarians. Who were they? Hello Heidi. In this opportunity, I just want to know what is the definition that you have about ancient grammarians.
Well, I consider that a grammarian is a specialist in grammar of one or more languages. In the modern era, the term grammarian was used to refer to a grammatic or purist prescriptive person, a person who primarily concerned with the correct usage of the language.
Hello Mary, I would like to know how many grammarians do you know?
Well, there are many important ancient grammarians, but I consider the most famous are the following. Panini, Plato's Dionysius Strauss, Marcus Aurelius, and Donatus. And we know that all of them made some important contribution to the linguistic.
Hello Yesenia, I want to know if you know what was the role of grammarians in linguistics.
About ancient grammarians play an important role in linguistics as they made many contributions. For example, ancient Indian linguistics identified the main parts of the vocal tract involved in sound production and associated them with specific sound segments such as the sounds p and m, and they also studied the length of the vowels, duration of phonation, and they also studied vowel length, pitch, syllables, and other aspects of phonetics. And they investigate the rules governing the proper combination of sounds, segments, and words in sentences. Well, long ago, Indian linguists recognized that the verb was the central element of a sentence, and they saw that all other words in a sentence bore a particular relationship to the verb. But they also recognized that not all sentences are grammatical. Imagine all the relevant contributions that they had, its magnificence.
After having listened to the opinions of our girls, we are going to go to a short commercial break and we will return with more details on this very interesting topic. So you don't disconnect, we will return soon.
Did you know that the most important ancient grammarians are Panini, Plato, Dionysius, Marcus Aurelius, and Aelius Donatus? Well, they are considered well-known grammarians due to their contribution to grammar and linguistics.
are back. Thanks to the viewers for waiting us. And remember guys that you can send us your questions to our channel. Now we will continue with the development of today's topic. Previously we met the most recognized ancient grammarians and some opinions of our linguistics. Now we will continue learning about ancient grammarians, but now we will learn more about each of them. So let's look at this. Hello Yesenia, it's nice to see you again. In this opportunity, I want to talk to you about Panini. So first of all, what can you tell me about him?
When we talk about Panini, we are talking about one of the people who is considered to be the most innovative in the whole development of language. In other words, Panini is considered to be the founder of language and literature. And also, Panini was an Indian grammarian who studied and wrote a comprehensive and scientific theory of the phonetics, phonology, and morphology of Sanskrit. Considered to be the language of the god. Sanskrit, it shows how words were formed and which part of the word carried the meaning. The works of Panini and other Indian scholars were used to interpret the sacred books of the Hindus. He was born about 520 BC in Shalatula, a town near Attock, what is now known as the Indus River, Pakistan. Moreover, Sanskrit, known as the oldest and most classical language of the India, written around the 4th or 5th century BC, Panini's extraordinary work represents a highly developed approach to linguistics.
Hello Mary, I hope you are good. Can you tell me what was the contribution that Dionysius made?
Well, Dionysius Thrax was a Greek grammarian and a pupil of Aristarchus of Samothrace. He lived between 170 and 190 before Christ. His place of origin was not Thrace, as the epithet Thrax denotes, but probably was Alexandria. And also, he was long considered to be the author of the earliest grammatical text on the Greek language. Dionysius Thrax was credited traditionally as the author of the first extant grammar of Greek, the art of grammar. Its importance in Byzantine scholarship is attested by the fact that commentaries on it, the text itself was thought to be the unique extant example of a work by Hellenist scholars. This general consensus began to break down when examination of grammatical texts datable to a later period emerged among the finds of the Oricus Prepae, which are a group of manuscripts discovered during the late 19th and early 20th centuries, which until relative late show no awareness of key elements in the text attribute to Dionysius Thrax. It concerns itself principally with a morphological description of Greek, lacking any treatment of syntax. The work was translated into Armenian, sometimes around the 50 and 90 centuries, and into Syriac by Joseph Hussain around that the same period of time. And Dionysius defined grammars at the beginning of the act of empirical knowledge of what is for the most part being said by poets and prose readers. He states that grammar, what we might nowadays call literal criticism, comprises 6 parts. Now I'm going to tell you which are the 6 parts. First of all, we have reading aloud with correct pronunciation, accent, and punctuation. The second one is exposition of the figurative language of text. The third one is exposition of obsolete words and subject matter. And the next one is finding the correct meaning of word according to their origin, which is etymology. The next one is the searching for or consider analogies. And finally, we have the critical judgment of the word examine. Uh, we also know that Dionysius tracks discover the age part of speech, and all of them plays an important role when we communicate with the other people. We have the noun, which is the first one. The second one is the verb. The third one is the participle, and then we have the article, which also is a part of a speech. We have the pronoun, and also we have the preposition, and finally we have the conjunction and the adverb. We know that all of this part plays an important role in the part of a speech. Well, to finish with my explanation about Dionysius Tracts, I would like to add that Dionysius Tracts is credited with being the father or mother of grammar. He was a Greek grammarian who lived during the second century before Christ, as I said before, and he is best known for his work, The Art of Grammar, which I mentioned before. In this piece, Dionysius Tract laid out the basic principle of grammar still used today, which are the part of speech, syntax, and also morphology. His work was groundbreaking as it was the first comprehensive guide to the structure and mechanisms of language. Before the art of grammar, language was studied primarily through the study of literature. Dionysius Tract's work shift the focus to the mechanisms and structure of language itself. Finally, I want to add that Dionysius Tract's teachings were so influential that they influenced the study of grammar for centuries to come. In fact, his work was still being used as a reference as late as the 19th century. In conclusion, Dionysius Tracts The Art of Grammar was a revolutionary piece of work that helped lay the foundation for the study of language and linguistics. And that is all for me. Thanks for your attention.
Excellent. Now, can you tell me about Plato? For example, who was Plato and what are the contributions he made for linguistics?
Talking about Plato, I would like to tell you that Plato was an ancient Greek philosopher, the second of the trio of ancient Greeks, including Socrates and Aristotle, said to have laid the philosophical foundation of Western culture. Plato came from one of the most famous political active families in Athens. Ancient sources describe him as a bright-thought, modest boy who excelled in his studies. His father contributed everything necessary to give to his son a good education, and Plato therefore must have been instructor in grammar, music, gymnastics, and philosophy by some of the most distinguished teachers of his era. Plato was born in 428 before Christ to a noble family. He lived primarily in Athens, Greek. Plato's birth occurred near the end of the Golden Age of Athens, and well, he reached adulthood around the time of Sparta's final defeat of Athens. After traveling, Plato spent the remainder of his life teaching at academy until his death. What did Plato do? Let me tell you that, as I said before, Plato was a philosopher during the 50th century before Christ. He was a student of Socrates and later taught Aristotle. He founded the an academic program which many consider to be the first one-third university. Plato wrote many philosophical texts, at least 25, and he dedicated his life to learning and teaching, um, and is hailed as one of the founders of Western philosophy. What is Plato known for? Plato's most famous work is The Republic, which details with society run by a philosopher. He is also famous for his dialogues, early, middle, and late, which showcase his metaphysical theory of forms, something else he is well known for. What were Plato's contributions to society? That is really important because Plato is one of the history most influential philosopher. His contribution range across numerous philosophical subfields, including but no limits to ethics, cosmology, and metaphysics. Thought he was not a scientific in the modern sense, Plato also examined the natural world and the philosophical implication it holds. And that is all I can say about Plato. Remember that there is a lot of information and we have to look for the most important. If you want to know more about it, I at the end of the meet I will share some sources for you. And thanks for your attention.
Hello Heidi, it's nice to see you again. Now I have some questions for you. Did Donatus do something for linguistics? What was his contributions?
Well, Aelius Donatus was one of the most influential grammarians in his time, a Latin grammarian of the 4th century. He also wrote large and small school grammar, and he was interested on the 8th part of speech that I'm going to mention right now. For example, noun, that refers to a concept, person, place, or thing. The pronouns used in place of a noun. Adjectives, that modifies a noun or pronoun. Adverbs, that modify a verb, adjective, or another adverb. And we have the verb, that describes an action. Prepositions, that have relationship of words and phrases. We have also conjunctions, that connect different parts of speech. We also can mention interjections, used in isolation to express a feeling and give a command or greet someone. That's the contribution that he had to linguistics and grammar.
Me who was Marcus Aurelius?
Marcus Aurelius. He was an excellent ancient grammarian, and he is also well known as Caesar Marcus Aurelius Antoninus Augustus and Marcus Annius Verus. He is considered the emperor of Rome. He was born in April 26, 121 in Italy, and he died on March 17, 180 in Austria. He is also best known for his meditations on Stoic philosophy. He has been considered a symbol for many generations in the West in the golden age of the Rome Empire. That's pretty much what I know about him.
Well, we have heard the opinions that our linguists have, and I can say that ancient grammarians were so important in the past because it is part of the development of linguistics. Also, ancient grammarians gave us a lot of rules and bases for learning a second language or a foreign language. Thanks to them, now we have grammatical rules that help us to analyze sentences, and obviously, if you know grammar, we can speak English in a perfect way. Also, if you want to speak another language, if you know grammar, you can speak them in a perfect way as well. Ancient grammarians are persons that change the way in which we learn a second language because some years ago we did not have rules to follow in order to speak perfectly a second language. Now that we know more about linguistics and ancient grammarians, we are going to go to a short commercial break again. But before to go, please guys, send us the questions that you have about the topic, and later probably we will have the opportunity to ask to our linguistic those questions. You do not disconnect, we will be here in some seconds. Hello guys, we are back. Thank you so much for continuing with us. As a last point, as I told you before to go to commercials, I have invited to our linguistics to a virtual meeting in which we are going to ask them the questions that you already sent us. I told them that it will be amazing because you, my viewers, want to know them. So let's connect to the virtual meeting. Hello girls, I hope you are good. Well, I have some questions that all viewers gave us. The first one says, how was the most important ancient grammarian for you? I don't know if you, Yesenia, can give me an answer for this question.
Well, first, thank you for you inviting me to participate in this virtual debate. And about the question, well, based on established writings, Panini is considered the founder of language and literature. And for his wonderful contributions to linguistics, and since he created the oldest grammar, which was Sanskrit, a language of India. So I consider that Panini was the most important ancient grammarian, not only for me, but also for many people around the world. So it's my answer about this question.
Okay, thank you so much. What about you, Maria? What can you tell me about it?
Hello, everyone. As I said at the beginning, it's a pleasure to be with you. I know that you are really important people in linguistics. Talking about this question, we know that it's really interesting because all of us has a different point of view. And in my case, I believe that all the ancient grammarians were really important. But in my case, I consider that one of the most important was Dionysius Rex because one of the contribution that he made is the art of grammar, in which he explained a lot of things that we use in the speech, like the verb, the noun, the conjunction, the articles, and many other things that we can discover when we take the time to study grammar. So I believe that is really important to take in account that all of them have many contribution in grammar and linguistic also. And for me, I can say that Dionysius Rex was the most important because we discover a lot of things when we read his story. And that is my point of view, as I said at the beginning.
Okay, thank you so much. Well, we can say that both of them are so important because both of them give us some things that we can use in order to develop a language or a second language. Also, I have heard something about a school, I think. I don't know what can you tell me about it, Heidi?
Hello, everybody. It's a pleasure to be here again. And well, I can say that Stoicism is a school of philosophy that hails from ancient Greece and Rome. In short, regards of the Christ, it is a philosophy of life that maximizes positive emotions, reduces negative ones, and helps individuals to hone their virtues of character. Its principles have studied Stoic strategies are as relevant today as they were in ancient times. A handful of thinkers helped to form the Stoic philosophy school. In that list, we can mention Marcus Aurelius, who was one of the most influential human beings in human history due to his contributions not only in philosophy but also in linguistics. Thinkers who formed the Stoic school were people who studied deep human beings' language and communication. And moreover, The thinkers looked for the way to establish a different side of life at the moment of facing problems, showing that we as human beings have the ability to deal with any difficulty in life because it all depends on resilience, which is the capacity to withstand or recover quickly from a difficulty.
Thank you so much for your answer, Heidi. What about you, Yesenia? What can you tell me about it?
Well, I consider that the most valuable contribution of the Stoic School of Grammar was the treatment of case as a single category of noun expressed by words endings, and they distinguish between the nominative and all other cases. Moreover, the Stoics school of grammar were also the first distinguished between proper and common nouns.
Thank you so much. What about you, Maria?
Well, I consider that Haiti has all the important things, but I believe that the study school of grammar was founded with the objective to form interesting, honest grammarians, philosophers, with the purpose that when we imagine, for example, and we talk about some years ago, we can imagine and we can remember all of the person who formed part of that, with the purpose, for example, if I told you about Dionysius Tracks, Marcus Aurelius, they were really important grammarians, philosophers, and so on. And for that reason, I believe that a Stoic school of grammar was important a role in the society. And as you can see, in that time we can discover a lot of things that a Stoic school of grammar have made some interesting contribution for our society. And that is all I can say about it, because as I said before, Heidi has explained this in the best possible way.
Okay, thank you so much. I can see that all of you has almost the same opinion. So it is important to know that. Then I have the last questions I think, and it says, do you consider that linguistic it is important? What do you think, girls?
Well, in my case, yes, I consider that linguistics is really, really important, but I will mention some details about why I consider that linguistics is important. Well, first, as we know, linguistics is related to language, and the primary function of language is communication. Human beings have a vital need to relate to each other, and this is possible thanks to language. Sometimes we ask ourselves certain questions such as why is language universal? Why is language universal, as I said? And how is that we can communicate with other countries in different cultures? And trying to answer these questions in where we become aware of remarkable value to linguistics over time until today, which has enabled human communication through the use of language in oral and written. So I don't know if I have more time to continue adding fundamentals of why linguistics is important, or I can continue my participation.
Yes, you can. Let's go.
Okay, to be honest, when I am asked this type of question, I like to share my thoughts and try to make people aware of that linguistic is. Well, without linguistic and the useful contribution of great linguistics as already present, human communication through the use of language, oral or writing, will not be possible, but what we know today as a grammatical rules, language, and so on. And analyzing the process that makes it possible that we are able to form correct grammatical sentences, starting from the vocabulary and together to understand expressions, words, sentences, and text. So linguistics is very important for human beings, and we must give it the value it deserves. So in simple words, yes, linguistics is very important.
Okay, thank you so much. What about you, Heidi?
Okay, Damaris, could you repeat the question?
Yes, of course. The question was, do you consider that linguistics is important?
Well, I think that linguistics is very important, and I'm going to tell you why. Well, since linguistics is the scientific study of the language, it is essential to study this field because language captures how we perceive the world around us and how we relate to one another. It defines who we are, and our first language, or the mother tongue we grow up with, is the one we use to express what is in our hearts. It is our heart language also. When we learn or when learning another language, linguistics plays an important role because we adopt different ways to communicate among each other and use the new language, and we get a different side of the world. Moreover, when we feel interested in learning linguistics, we are capable to learn and discover limitless features about our origin as human beings and the origin of the language in general. Linguistics is concerned with the nature of the language and communication. I can tell you that it deals both with study of particular languages and the search for general properties common to all languages or large groups of languages.
Okay, thank you so much, Heidi. I don't know if you would like to add something else, Maria? Maria.
Maria, I think your microphone is off.
I'm sorry. Well, as Heidi said, linguistics is the study of language, and such as is a great important to language teachers. Linguistics also helps teachers convey the origin of words and languages. As we know, their historical application and their modern day relevance. Combined, this approach to teaching language helps students gain a better and more independent understanding of their assignments and work, produce some expectation, and well, one of the uses of linguistics, in education, it continues to grow up and is often drugs disciplinary in nature. Not only is utilized by a language instructor, it is also used in early childhood developing psychological and anthropology education, as we know. As well, linguistic is not only the study of language, but also includes the evolution and historical context of language, of course, speech and memory. Well, and also it includes the structure and meaning of a speech and reading language, as well as an understanding of the context in which certain words are used. Well, to finish my participation, let me tell you that when we teach a foreign language, a linguistic is really important uh, to a language teacher because linguistics provide historical context to word origin, and it can help to the student in their better comprehend the language. This is especially important when it comes to comprehending the difference among conversational speech and formal speech and the abstract rules about word usage in different culture. Finally, this can actually overlap into a regional dialect within the same country. In a conclusion, I can say that linguistics is really important because we can understand the different meaning of the word, and we can put into practice the different feature that linguistic has. And that is all for me.
Okay, thank you so much, girls. Well, I'm so grateful because you provide main and long answers to my viewers. I don't know if you can send a greeting for them because they are watching you. So, thank you so much for being part of my program. And well, it's all for today. Thank you so much. Well, guys, I was a little bit nervous when I had the meeting with the linguistics, but I think it was so good. I'm so grateful with them because they accepted my invitation and they answered all the questions that I asked them. We are about to finish. Thank you so much, guys, for being here. Thank you so much for being part of this program. I just want to give you a conclusion for today's topic. We can say that linguistics is the science that studies languages or a language. Also, it studies its origin, structure, nature, and its changes over the time. Also, we can say that linguistics as a science is oriented to the study in which a language is spoken. We can say as well that linguistics is a social science and one of the branches of psychology in which are involved mental process and social process. Some branches of linguistics are phonetics and phonology, semantic and pragmatics. In the other hand, we have ancient grammarians. But who were ancient grammarians? Ancient grammarians were people who was so important in the development of linguistics because they were part of this. They changed the history. They added things that now are so important in order to develop a single language. We have Panini, who was one of the most important grammarians. Panini is considered the founder of language and literature. Panini is considered the founder of language and literature. He created the oldest grammar as well. Also, we have Dionysius that made some changes relative to the 8 parts of speech, or to the parts of speech as well. Then we have Donatus, who wrote a large and small school grammar. He gave us an elementary structure in the 8 parts of speech as well. Aurelius was the most famous proponent of the ancient philosophy known as Stoicism. All of them are people who really contribute to linguistics. All of them are so important and each contribution that they made was amazing. Now we can say that all the rules or all the basis that we have in grammar is because they made it. So this is all for today, guys. Thank you so much for your attention. Thank you so much for being here. I hope you enjoyed this video. So it was Find Out with Jem.